Clarke County Today is presented by Connell Real Estate. Hire an agent, get a team. Learn more by visiting connellrealestate.com.
Welcome back, Clarke County. It's Tuesday. I'm Jacob Graneman. Let's take a look at the top stories for today. Another 16 people tested positive for COVID-19 today, in addition to 18 more over the weekend, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 719. There was also one additional death over the weekend, making 29 people who've died since the outbreak began. The county has seen no new cases linked to Firestone Pacific Foods or Pacific Crest Building Supply since last week. There are still 24 Pacific Crest employees awaiting test results. 11 people are currently hospitalized with confirmed cases in Clarke County, and a number that has remained relatively steady since last week. The county could apply for a move to Phase 3 of reopening by the end of this week. The most important number to watch is in new cases per 100,000 people in the past 2 weeks. Right now, Clarke County is at 16.8, which is just under the threshold of 25, but that rate has been rising and doesn't include the most recent 6 days of new cases. If the end of this educational year was chaotic for school districts, the next couple months may be even worse. At a budget work session for Battleground Schools on Monday, the district outlined the numerous challenges they're facing in preparing for the upcoming year. Many parents have said they may not put their children back in school if masks and social distancing are required, and others plan to move to homeschooling. Since much of the district's funding is based on student enrollment, that makes figuring out the numbers difficult. Add to this uncertainty of COVID in terms of cleaning, sanitizing, and all the supplies that go along with that, and most districts are having to plan in a great deal of flexibility. And things may get even worse before they get better. The state is anticipating a $4 to $5 billion budget shortfall in the next year, with many departments being asked to slash budgets by 15%. The impact on school districts likely wouldn't be felt until next year, but it's a difficult time to be balancing the books for basic education in the state of Washington. On the 155th anniversary of the official freeing of all slaves in America, known as Juneteenth, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is still having the conversation around complete freedom for African Americans. This past Saturday, the day after Juneteenth, the Vancouver NAACP held their annual celebration virtually due to COVID-19. The theme, inspired by the recent in-custody deaths of Black men and women across the country, was "We Are Done Dying." The webinar, which hosted hundreds of viewers, focused on a Q&A time with Clarke County Sheriff Chuck Atkins. Over the course of the conversation, Atkins responded to requests for improved complaint response, questions on officer use of force protocols, and his decision to remove all thin blue line decals and imagery from CCSO vehicles, uniforms, and offices. The sheriff said his decision was the result of complaints from communities of color, saying the symbol caused fear and division. The sheriff was supported in his decision by the NAACP. On Friday, we told you about the Clarke County prosecuting attorney Tony Ghul's decision to send the review of the officer-involved shooting of William Abe to Thurston County. Since then, we've spoken further with Ghul regarding his decision. Ghul said that he was not only seeking an independent review, but also one that would allow the entire community to feel a sense of fairness. In the face of the current culture of unrest, Ghul said avoiding any perceptible flaws in the review process is critical to preventing insistence on a second review. Ghul indicated that all 3 officers involved in the Abe shooting have had extended careers with the Vancouver Police Department, and therefore he elected to send the review away from neighboring counties such as Skamania and Cowlitz. Ghul said he didn't believe the current events would impact the review of the case, but that they should impact systemic changes to the process in the future. Governor Jay Inslee's stay-at-home order has had an even more negative impact on the construction industry than first thought, according to the revised estimates on lost wages reported by the Building Industry Association of Clarke County. The BIA has previously reported that $695 million in wages were lost from the order. After looking at a more recent data, the agency now believes that number to be actually $1.2 billion. The study, which examined the impact on the construction of nearly 50,000 single-family homes built in Washington in 2019, found that Washington home builders are responsible for more than 265,000 jobs and $22 billion in income. In addition to the jobs and wages, the report detailed the value local communities gain from occupied new homes, such as additional long-term tax revenue. The new information demonstrates the role housing construction can play in recovering from the economic damage done during the COVID-19 pandemic. If you've been enjoying the absence of parking enforcement in the city of Vancouver, you might not be happy to hear your holiday from parking regulations will soon come to an end. The city will resume enforcement on street parking regulations in the downtown waterfront and uptown village areas starting Wednesday, July 1st. The first week will serve as a grace period where only written warnings will be issued to allow customers to get used to the pre-COVID-19 parking times and payment rules again. After the grace period ends on July 8th, city enforcement will resume for all public parking meters, pay stations, and permit parking. The city temporarily suspended on-street parking enforcement on March 20th in an effort to help the public and parking enforcement officers maintain physical distancing during COVID-19 and to help downtown restaurants that were limited to offering carry-out and curbside pickup services. The last day of school is usually a fun day with class, parties, snacks, and games, but with this year's shift to online school, making the last day special was a challenge. So the teachers at Union Ridge and South Ridge Elementary Schools in Ridgefield decided to end the year with a car parade through their students' neighborhoods. The teachers at Union Ridge were excited when they started lining up their cars. They were ready to make some noise, with songs playing from their car stereos, horns honking, and plastic noisemakers clapping. The teachers' cars were brightly decorated with signs, balloons, flags, and decorations. One car even had a giant inflatable rubber duck on the roof. Some teachers had the names of all of their students in their class written on their windows. In neighborhood after neighborhood, children stood on the sidewalk with their families, waving happily as their teachers drove past. A different way to mark the last day of school, but still a celebration. It's the return of sports, well, at least for some Clarke County athletes. Many golfers from Clarke County are playing in Oregon Amateur at Columbia Edgewater in Portland. Here's Paul Valencia with a report.
Happy Tuesday to you all. Hey, it's the return of sports for Clarke County athletes, at least a few. Across the river at Columbia Edgewater, the Oregon Amateur is going on, and there's more than a dozen Clarke County golfers are playing in this tournament. We got a chance to talk to two yesterday, Graham Moody, who is still a student at Mountain View High School, and former Camas standout Brian Humphreys, who is now at Boise State. Here's what they had to say about returning to competition.
Yeah, so missing that junior season of state was really tough. We had to say goodbye to one of my really good friends, Jack, on the team. Had a lot of potential moving into state, and I think we talked a lot about with the team. We all have a new perspective now of what life means, what it means to be able to compete, and I think taking that outside of golf is going to be huge. But this game it's made so many opportunities available. Being able to go play in college, and all the people that I've gotten to meet, it's been amazing. So while it's a very tough time in the world, I think we have it pretty easy out here playing golf, and just trying to keep that in mind as whether it's a bad round or a bad day. It's great to have that perspective on life. So hopefully get a chance to compete for senior year.
It's awesome just to be out in the competitive setting again. Like I was saying, we kind of got the rug ripped out from us in our season earlier. We were all prepped to make a run at regionals and hopefully nationals and stuff. So it's just weird kind of starting over again in the summer and getting ready for the fall again. But it's just good to be back out here competing where shots matter and stuff. So.
Paul also had a quick update on the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. The local chapter has used the shutdown of schools as a chance to refocus.
The Clarke County chapter of Fellowship of Christian Athletes has a great message: hope. Keep hope alive. Yesterday, we posted on Clarke County Today a story of how FCA is continuing to get its message out despite the pandemic. It's been a strange few months for everybody, but Fellowship of Christian Athletes is still around and still wants to get its message out.
Well, there's a little check of the stories we're following for you at ClarkeCountyToday.com. Be sure to follow us on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see when stories are posted and be part of the conversation. You can also send us story ideas and feedback to our email, news@ClarkeCountyToday.com. For all of us, I'm Jacob Graneman. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Good night.